I'm Jack McCall, Director of the Syrian Scots of Cincinnati, and sitting with me is my Assistant Director, Vic Wilson. By way of introduction, we are a very active unit in the Shrine and have done well musically, having won the Imperial in Toronto and several other Great Lakes championships. Additionally, we feel the need to look the part as well as play the part. My remarks with respect to this video have to do with leadership. Leadership of a volunteer group of this size requires the establishment of an operating standard and the maintenance of that standard throughout the several components of the band. There will probably always be great discussion as to the priorities of the various elements which make up the total effort of a unit such as this. It is well recognized that an ongoing effort should be given to the discipline of good piping and drumming. But in my view, all too often, not enough effort is given to the 3 Ds, that being dress, deportment, and drill. In this video, we will try to address some of these concerns. It goes without saying that the execution of the intricate parts of the tunes being played is of vital importance. But it is also important to have everyone in step, smartly and uniformly turned out, enthusiastic, with an attitude of cooperation and professionalism. A slipshod and slovenly turnout should never be tolerated. As director of the unit, I've assigned leadership responsibilities to several members with a goal and intent of producing a unit which not only sounds well, but also looks well. The members charged with these responsibilities are Pipe Major Steve Shields, Drum Major Jess Andrews, and Drill Sergeant Vic Wilson. I hope you will find this video to be helpful and instructional.
This will be quite detailed, so let's start off with the item which probably takes most wear and abuse, the shoes. It's important to have them well soled and heeled at all times and showing a high degree of luster. We are showing 3 types of shoes most commonly worn by our membership. And they can be identified as wingtips or brogues, the traditional ghillie, and something I refer to as the lazy man shoe, the corfram. I call it this because the usual cleaning effort is a quick wipe with a cloth, and that would be considered okay, but that's hardly good enough. Regardless of the type of shoes worn, all mud, dirt, and dust needs to be washed or brushed off, then apply the polish and bring to a high degree of shine by vigorous brushing. Do pay attention to the welt and the edges of the soles and heels, and even though you're wearing corframs, this is terribly important. Now I'd like to introduce Arch Ott. Arch will be talking about another bugaboo, spats.
For those in military dress, it is the spats to which the eyes are most drawn. A tarnished belt buckle or a salty Glengarry might go unnoticed, but never dirty, yellowed, or poorly fitting spats. That's right, clean is not enough. Curled tops look like elf shoes. Skinny legs and loose spats look as though they're wearing white garbage cans. Fit is more important than clean if you'd rather look dirty than foolish, but then we've all seen some who look both. Here are some of the key points to be aware of in care of the spats. First of all, a fairly snug fit at the calf. The instep should lie flat on the top of the toe. The seam should run straight up the back of the leg, and the buttons straight up the outside. The retaining strap that runs underneath the shoe should be black and clean, and the spats should be brilliantly white with no bleed and no overrun from dye or polish which you might use on the strap, and no kick marks on the body of the spat. Clean is easy, but it all depends on fit. The old style spats, canvas with buttons and leather retaining straps, provides the greatest challenge to both fit and cleanliness. The newer spats are much easier in both respects, Often they are in man-made material, and they all come with Velcro side closures, which provide some built-in adjustability, and elastic retaining straps, which eliminate the risk of bleed or overrun into the white of the legging, since they don't require polish.
Hose and hose tops are self-explained. I will demonstrate the proper turning down of the top. The hose must be turned down as to match the pattern. Seams must be straight and down the back of the calf. Flashes or garters must be properly fitted and evenly spaced on both legs. The color of the flashes should correspond with the color of the hose. A ski-doo of proper note should be worn. For example, with day wear, a bone-handled variety is in good taste. For evening, a dress ski-doo with silver mountings and stone should be worn.
The kilt should be worn at a comfortable level from the waist. The kilts that are Scottish made are more inclined to be made to fit a little higher, and that is to say, just under the ribs. The American-made kilts tend to fit more to the hips. However, the length of the kilt should be approximately across the kneecap. Now, I won't attempt at this point to demonstrate on how an individual is measured for a kilt. I'll leave that to the expert outfitters. Suffice to say, a well-fitted kilt should fit at the waist, the hips, and of course the length. Because of several reasons, such as cost and convenience being the most prominent, kilts are passed on from one person to another. And it's a very lucky person that happens to be just the right size. The point I'm making, whenever possible, have your kilt custom made. Then watch your waistline, since there is not a whole lot of adjustment in the kilt. The key is not too high, not too low, and not too stout. Now, the upper body covering can be anything from a short sleeve shirt to a formal military tunic, but care should be taken when choosing what will go with what. Our unit chooses to wear a khaki military type shirt, which is very comfortable and gives off a smart appearance. A note of caution here is, although it's so-called wash and wear material, I recommend that it still requires ironing. Rank insignia are of metal and are worn at the point of the collar, additionally highlighted with a red material backing. And while on the subject of shirts, depending on one's general mode of dress, the style can range from informal shepherd shirts to an evening dress and still be considered acceptable. As our presentation unfolds, we will attempt to model various modes of dress from military to formal and day wear, etc. Referring to our unit's requirements, we also wear name badges worn over the right pocket, as you see here, and it's centered on the flap so that the bottom edge of the name badge aligns with the top seam of the pocket flap. We also wear shoulder ornaments, and these are the rampant lion mounted on red material again. And these are slid over the shoulder epaulet. A note of caution again, most so-called police-type shirts are manufactured with cross-stitching from the shoulder seam to a point approximately halfway to the button. Now, these stitches are not required as we wear them and must be carefully removed. These are small